We're half an hour in, half an hour left on Uncultured, and we, of course, spent a little bit of time before talking some Carti, and we will continue to do that now with this piece by Eric Skelton and Complex, The Case for Carti, saying rap needs somebody like Playboi Carti around to, I don't know, make things interesting, I guess. So he writes here, Playboi Carti is the most musically polarizing rapper on the planet right now. Artists like Kanye West and Tekashi 69 might be more diverse pop culture figures overall, but when it comes to actual music, no one's polarized fans more than Carti has in the past couple years, because pretty much what that means there, if you're looking at what's in between the lines there, that means his music is bad. Like, that is literally just what that means. Like, they think that, like, he is one of the biggest rappers with, like, probably one of the biggest fan bases that has simultaneously the most amount of people saying that his music is bad. So the 24-year-old Atlanta rapper stays off social media. He says, I always let my phone die. He rarely says anything outlandish enough to end up in the headlines on gossip sites, as we know that changed over Christmas. Still, everyone has some strong opinions about the way he makes music. So he is just unintentionally kind of controversial, out there musically, and of course that is with his traditional mumble rap style that draws in so much controversy. Since emerging on SoundCloud with Young Zanho and Broke Boy in the mid-2010s, he's defied the tradition. I'm just going to read this in an NPR voice. Yeah, so obviously he's been very much kind of an outsider. He's been someone who just like, he just has this violent way of like attacking the song and just like these kind of almost animalistic sounds, I would say, that really have made him just like, and sometimes it works. Sometimes like when the words are kind of more comprehensive and the like just the absolute, it's a little bit more mature. Like the production and the musical decisions that are being made are so good and so progressive in terms of like what the game is, like what the playing field is at the time. The lyrical aspect of it, like it is really clear how far that sets it back. Carti has assumed the role of rap's latest disruptive lightning rod, sparking conversations about how the genre should and shouldn't evolve next. So this is, again, from the article. Playboi Carti was born on the exact same day that Tupac Shakur died, a piece of trivia that fits so well with the storyline of his career that it almost sounds made up. His music, which reimagines the role of a traditional rapper, sounds nothing like songs from the golden age of hip-hop. Instead of focusing on writing intricate lyrics or establishing a commanding like presence, Carti uses his voice as an accent mark on each beat he encounters, which I think is probably a fair thing to say. Leaning on repeated refrains, again, Playboi was saying, just like yelling the same thing into the microphone in increasingly more annoying ways. And off-the-wall ad-libs, of course, that we are so well familiar with Playboi Carti to propel his songs forward. In the process, he has flipped typical relationship between rapper and producer on his head, and Carti likes to let the producers take the lead, figuring out ways to rap inside beats instead of overpowering them. He acts as and that's, I think, really why he does have that good musical instinct. He does have that ability like to do a, like, to know what works in a song. Like, I do think he does get that better than some other people who have way better rapping abilities than he does. Sometimes he doesn't really bother to pronounce words at all. A few years ago, Carti started playing around with squealing B sound effects that he kind of pepper in the tapestry of each song. Later, he merged these high-pitched sounds with half-enunciated words for a vocal style that can only really be described as baby voice. With that baby voice, Carti was born. He experimented with it for months, but it really took shape in 2018's Dial It Standout Flatbed Freestyle. And this was, again, one where it was just like the beat production was so good that it really overpowered everything. In the outro of the song, he repeats phrases like "one more pint" and "too much lean." But they sound like, the baby voice continued to evolve on leaks like Cancun, now famous for the "my stomach hurt" line. And Carti really kind of snuck into some unexpected places, like Solange's critically acclaimed 2019 album "When I Get Home." By 2020, of course, and again, he was on Earthquake last year in a very kind of controversial verse for the same reason that like no one really could understand what he was saying, and it was just completely indecipherable. Here is before we get further with this, let's hear some some of that Cancun. Let's hear about Playboi Carti's Stummy. And like this kind of production, it's so poppy. It's like so energetic. It's danceable. It's light. It's quick. It's great for TikTok. But then you got this, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it just really doesn't. There's the repeated refrains that we know of. But you still do get this like basic level of just catchy, infectious kind of production on the background there with that instrumental. And very short, very like up to snuff with kind of the modern style, but very much different in the lyrical way. Almost like, I'd say, in a weird way, Lil Pump with like almost a little bit more creativity. Like, you got a little bit better beat production, a lot better understanding of like the way music works, getting those like musical choices that are it's like orally very pleasing to listen to hear it, and that makes a good song a good song. And that is Cancun there. And Flatbed Freestyle is a great example of that. In the past few years, Carti has picked up experimental rap torches from artists like Young Thug and really run with it in his own direction. Thug inspired a whole era of rappers to prioritize eccentric melodies and innovative vocal deliveries, but Carti took a sharper left turn than any of his peers. Like, this was just taking someone like a Lil Uzi Vert or maybe like a Juice WRLD and taking it to just completely new heights, which made him a little bit of an outcast. It made him a little bit of someone who didn't really quite fit in musically. And of course, again, I know I just spent like the first 10 minutes of the show, first 15 minutes of the show just completely like taking him to task for being an awful father. But again, if we're talking about the music here, we have to acknowledge that there is some good stuff. For example, I'd say that song Cancun would be a good song. So Carti's unique approach has split listeners into two camps with equally passionate perspectives about what he symbolizes in rap. One side, of course, there's a rabid fan base of mostly young supporters who've been so feverish for new music from Carti that they've taken to dark corners of the internet, leaking dozens of songs. In summer of 2019, fans even stuck an unofficial upload of the unreleased track called Kid Cudi Pissy Pamper onto Spotify. It immediately went number one on the U.S. viral chart, becoming really one of the most talked about songs of the year. The thirst for a new Playboi Carti album hit a whole new level this fall after Carti repeatedly teased, as we covered on the show multiple times, the imminent release of his second studio album, Whole Lotta Red, without delivering the goods. A new artist named Mario Judah, recently famous for his viral rap rock song, Die Very Rough, that if you've opened up TikTok for 2 seconds, I'm sure you have heard, took it upon himself to pressure Carti into finally dropping the project, thanks to, shout out Mario Judah, screaming into his phone every day and demanding a release date. Judah warned that he would drop Whole Lotta Red for him, and on December 12th, Judah did exactly that, releasing a 4-song EP that sounds hilariously similar to Carti's music, complete with the high-energy ad-libs and the baby voice flow. So he pretty much made his own album, Whole Lotta Red, and of course all this time he was just bullying Iggy Azaela, which is a whole nother thing as well. So this is a guy who is like a huge, aggressive, deep voice guy, and he released an EP with kind of a parody Whole Lotta Red EP, Le Maslet, Fiji Freestyle, Biya. Being Lee. Those are the name of the song in Cartinese, as it's called on the internet. Let's get a taste of it here. I mean, if you pitch it up, like, anything can sound very, very Carti-esque. Yeah, so screaming in his phone every day, pretty much he demanded that release date. Before I blew up, I was one of the fans in the comment section due to Tool Complex in mid-December. I was like, bro, drop Pull Out of Red. And I was used to think, what could possibly be done to get this man to drop this album? We all want it, we all love it. But I'm just another fan in the comment section. He's not going to see my comment. He's a rock star. So I just figured, now I got this platform and people know I am, it'll get around to where it needs to get to. And guess what? It did. On the flip side is a mostly older subset of listeners who are completely baffled by the appeal of the rapper who stretches words beyond comparison, recontextualizing the genre they fell in love with into something they barely recognize. Carti represents an unwanted evolution of hip-hop culture. With each exaggerated ad-lib and half-enunciated verse, the narrative of that rap isn't as good as it used to be is further drilled into their brains. The push and pull is exactly what makes an artist like Playboi Carti so important. Since 2017, hip-hop has been the most popular genre in the United States. Decades removed from its inception, rap is no longer an upstart art form that exists at the fringes of pop culture. It has evolved. The genre's sound has broadened to incorporate more melody, lending itself to a wider, more mainstream audience. But to retain the edge and excitement that energized rap in the first place, the genre needs artists like Carti who dare to experiment and push it in new directions, especially in a streaming ecosystem that often rewards homogenous music that can slide into playlists without disrupting flow. Hip-hop needs outliers like Carti who can throw a wrench in the system and break up the monotony. And I mean, honestly, sonically, he does not sound too different than anybody else, but just lyrically is really where people do point to the drop in quality, which I think is probably my biggest criticism of Carti, even though his musical, I think it's just his musical understanding, his MIQ, I guess you could call it, is pretty solid, and that's, I think, what makes him so successful, and that kind of made him a cult classic. And also, I think, like, let's be honest, the baby voice and that kind of aesthetic too, and that kind of just like Playboi Carti's the guy who talks weird, like that has been incredibly helpful for his career as well. Yeah, so that pretty much is where we stand at the moment with Playboi Carti. We're gonna get into some more best of the year content to close out the show, but of course, we would be remiss if we didn't at least get a little bit of Playboi Carti vibes going on. And of course, this is probably my favorite Playboi Carti song.
Look at my gown, I ain't go to class. I'd rather die before I come in last. I ain't felt like this in a long time. I ain't felt like this in a long time. I ain't had shit in a long time. Just to feel like this, it took a long time, yeah. Just to feel like this, it took a long time, yeah. Just to look like this, it took a long time, yeah. Just to look like this, it took a long time, yeah. Hold up, I'm trying to do something right now. Just leave me alone, I'm gonna get caught. Little black jean jacket, yeah. Got V long on it, yeah. Got that bad bitch, yeah. Wanna fuck me, my homie, yeah. Got that bad bitch, yeah. Tryna fuck me, my homie, yeah. Shawty gon' suck to the money, yeah. I can't wait no die, yeah. Pay that bitch to the homie, yeah. I just fucked your die, yeah. I ain't even pass to the homie, yeah. We might ride, yeah, homie. We might ride, yeah, homie. We might ride, yeah, homie. I'd rather get caught with it than without it. New chopper, it came with the beam. Activist pouring the beam. Got Flacco, yeah, Rocky, he passed me the beam. I shoot like a king. All of these nuts in my jeans. Alexander, I'm a queen. Yeah. Diamonds, they legging like ice. Out with the hole like I'm ice. Stack on my cash, I got height. Take advantage of the Sprite. Take the band up, bring the height. We just go hard on the kid. Had to catch up on my bitch. They know that young nigga be lit.
You know I gotta close the show out with some SoundCloud bangers.